I am Dr. Lauren Whitehurst. I'm in the Department of Psychology in the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Kentucky. And in my research, I focus on how sleep helps us live healthier lives. I often say, we're all kind of experts in sleep. We've been doing it since before we were born. In utero, we're sleeping. All of us are experts in it, and we all have this very close relationship to it. So it makes it a very easy thing to reach out to people to ask questions about, because everyone knows something about their sleep. An individual can have some kind of predispositions to different types of sleep or sleep disorders, but they also can be shaped throughout our entire lives. Before birth all the way until death, our sleep can be shaped. And so understanding what those biological mechanisms are, as well as what those kind of environmental and contextual factors are that shape our sleep, are the questions that I ask in my research. I think it's really important to study sleep because sleep is one of the biobehavioral processes that impact almost every disease outcome that we consider to be preventative, or even those that we don't quite know answers to yet. In my research, I have a couple of different studies. So I have a study currently running where we're really interested in sleep in Black Americans. One of the reasons is because Black Americans are the racial group in the US who receives the least amount of sleep out of all the other racial groups. And trying to understand what are the precipitating factors that are creating that sleep disparity is something that has an ongoing study working in our lab. The US has a really long history of discrimination that has kind of shaped the environments in which certain people live. As a result, Black Americans, for example, live in neighborhoods that are noisier, that have higher rates of pollution, that have less access to things like fresh food, and that all can trickle down and impact something like sleep. So in our work, we try to study those effects early on, right, before that translates to disease, to better understand how we might shape sleep, change sleep, impact sleep in ways that can be protective across the lifespan. We have a study in our lab currently, funded through the NIAAA, to better understand how sleep and hormones are shaping experiences with alcohol and how alcohol might also impact sleep. In that study, we're really interested in the menstrual cycle and how women have varying fluctuations in hormones across the month and how that might impact their sleep, and how drinking alcohol actually can really shift that relationship. People often think alcohol is a sleep enhancer. They turn to alcohol to say, I had a rough day, I want to relax, let me have a glass of wine, and that will make me sleepy. And that's actually true. It's to the point that alcohol will make you feel sleepy. However, it also disrupts the amount and the type of sleep that you're getting later on in the night. I will say one of my favorite things to do is bust sleep myths. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And so one thing I like to tell people is that sleep and stress are very tightly linked. But stress does not have to lead to bad sleep, right? There are ways that we can intervene on ourselves when we're experiencing stress and we're having bad days so that our sleep is not as poorly impacted. For example, a little bit of kind of 10-minute meditations on days when you're experiencing stress can help relieve some of that poor sleep you might experience. Another thing, that idea of 8 hours of sleep, you must get 8 hours of sleep. Thinking about that can sometimes make it harder for you to sleep. So letting that go, releasing those expectations for yourself and for whatever reason, releasing those things, getting rid of the guilt, and just getting the sleep that you can when you can. Another thing that I often tell people is that we all have slightly different sleep needs. So, one person might really need, let's say, 8 hours. Another person might need 9. Another person might need 6.5. I always tell people, get as much sleep as you need for your body to feel good. If you feel good, if you wake up and you feel rested, that's probably what your body needs. What I will say is that our society isn't always set up really nicely for that. I wish we had a space where we prioritize the individual in all of the kind of economic systems that we've developed in the US, but we don't always do that. And as a result, we end up with these sleep disparities. We also end up with sleep differences because I stay up a little bit later or you stay up a little bit later, but everyone has to be to work at 8 a.m. That creates these differences in sleep and then eventually these differences in health outcomes that we could actually address if our work and job environments were more flexible. One thing that we know that sleep does, I can say this with a lot of confidence, is that sleep helps us think, learn, and remember information better. It also makes us more creative. Sleep is also something that provides us with great insight into difficult problems. So you can imagine having a boardroom of sleep-deprived people trying to solve really big problems, or a boardroom of really well-slept people. They're going to be more creative. They're going to be able to integrate information from previous and create new paradigms and to ask and answer these really difficult questions.